Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. Joining me now is U.S. Senate candidate and Mendham Mayor Christine Serrano Glassner. New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez was indicted on criminal bribery charges on Friday. First, before we dive into the conversation, let's just start off with what's your reaction to the allegations?
Well, it's certainly not a surprise. It's not a surprise here in New Jersey. Gold Bar Bob, which is what I love to call him these days, has had a very long history of assumed corruption or corruption. And it's time that he be found out and face the voters in New Jersey. Many Democrats called for him to resign, and I disagree with that. And he said so in his comments. He is entitled to due process, and he should go through the full process. And all of the voters in New Jersey should be entitled to see exactly what that is. They should be the ultimate judges. They should be the ones that get to decide whether they feel he should remain in office or not. Not the Democrats, who feel that it's easier. It's an expedience for them to get rid of him, so that way the bad news stories go away every day. They don't need that because it's not going to help them. I love the fact that he decided to stand up for himself. And so now let's get back to the voters and the people, right?
I want to break down all of your comments, so let's start at the top. One of the first things you just said is, this is not a surprise. And as you know, this hasn't been his first indictment since he's taken office. In 2015, he was accused of taking bribes from an ophthalmologist. So what has been the reaction from the constituents of New Jersey?
Well, the constituents are not surprised in New Jersey. Unfortunately, New Jersey has a long history of elected officials doing what they want to do, right? Not following laws, not following policy, and not all of them. We have a lot of good elected officials, but there is that history here. So it didn't surprise anyone. There have been other allegations for many years, and this is not his first investigation by his own party. So it just didn't surprise anyone. People figured it was coming at some point in time, unfortunately. And this is where we are today, but it's sad. It is very sad for the voters. It's sad for New Jersey. We don't need this kind of reputation, and we don't need these kind of leaders. We need leaders that are going to focus on the people, that are going to focus on going down to Washington, solving problems for the people in New Jersey and the businesses in New Jersey. People before policy. I think that is one of the most important things. He may feel that he's done a good job, but very few people have ever seen him around New Jersey. He mostly stays in Hudson County. People need to see their elected officials. They need to see them all over the state. And that's part of what I plan on doing, is being accessible to people. They should be able to communicate what their issues are directly to their elected officials.
There have been, as you said, bipartisan calls for Senator Menendez to resign. Both Democrats and Republicans have been swift to say, there is due process, but also step aside. Your Governor Phil Murphy said this in a statement. The alleged facts are so serious that they compromise the ability of Senator Menendez to effectively represent the people of our state. Therefore, I'm calling for his immediate resignation. You said earlier you don't want to see him resign, but what do you think he should do? Because can he be an effective leader with this indictment hanging over his head?
Well, how is it that he was able to be an effective leader all of this time with the last indictment? Right after that, plenty of Democrats came out and endorsed him and said, we believe in you, you're a good guy. But yet here it happens again. This is actually not the second time, it's really the third time that this has happened. These allegations have been around for years. And again, it's very easy for the leaders, the Democrat leaders in our party, to say, this is going to impact how he's able to lead. Where has the leadership been all along for New Jersey? There may have been some things that he's done that's good, but on the overall, look at how folks are suffering right now from this economy. This economy is a stranglehold on families, on small businesses. They're really having a tough time here in New Jersey. Go to the gas tank. The first thing that I have noticed is that people aren't going and saying, fill her up. They're going and saying, give me $20 worth, because it's getting tighter and tighter. Look at people's grocery bills. I was speaking to an officer the other day. I was at a 9/11 event, and this officer said to me, my family's grocery bills have gone up to $500 a week. He said it's not sustainable. And all they can do is cut that back. Well, they have young kids, active kids. And the wife said, what can I tell you? Your kids are eating. Well, of course they're eating. It is a bigger problem, a systemic problem that goes all the way down to Washington with our current administration. And Menendez is a part of this. And frankly, here in New Jersey, costs have gone up so much in every regard. We need to make some changes here.
Let's talk about the upcoming election really quickly, because Republicans haven't won a U.S. Senate seat or election in New Jersey since 1972. What do you think can make that flip?
Well, it's very simple. New Jersey residents are looking for a leader who understands them. They're looking for a leader who's going to work hard, who's going to go down to DC and fix their problems, advocate on their behalf. And it's easy to say that you're going to do that, but so many elected officials go down there and get sucked into the swamp, and you have to fight that. And I think that if you're always thinking about people first, that becomes an easy way to fight that. I have been doing that for most of my life, and I understand the pain that people are going through. My family has been through it before. I started out, my first career, I was a chef. Most of the elected officials we see, they've never had real jobs. Even Senator Menendez, he says himself, he's been in politics for 50 years. How could he possibly understand what people are going through? People connect with me, and I connect with them. That's what a leader is going to do for New Jersey. That's what they need. That's what I'm going to continue to fight for.
After Senator Menendez was acquitted on some charges and others were dismissed back in 2018, he won the re-election pretty handily by 54%. So what do you think is going to be different this time, if anything at all?
I think everything's different. I think the economy is different. I think what people are facing is different. And I think people are getting a little bit tired of the decisions that have been made down in DC. It's gone too far for many people. People are looking for more moderation, and they've pushed things too fast. It impacts everybody. It certainly impacts folks here. So they're looking for some new leaders. They're looking for people who want to work hard, understand where they're coming from, and are smart about solutions. That's what I offer. I have a reputation of delivery, and that's what people need. So when it comes to this election, people are going to be looking for a new answer, not just the same old elected officials that have been in for a very long time.
What specifically is that new answer? What can you say to people? Hey, I know you're feeling pain at the pump. I know groceries are really squeezing your wallet. Here's exactly what I can do to help you lower those prices and feel that economic relief.
It's very, very simple. We have to curb the spending down in DC. It is out of control. And then the other thing we need to do is energy, right? We need a better energy solution, all of the above, to basically cut out. And that was the first thing that really impacted our economy, was when Biden came in that first week, he cut off the pipeline. How many people lost jobs? That instantly started impacting the economy. These are the things that we have to stop doing. We have to stop cutting ourselves off at the knees and not allowing job growth to take place. Over-regulation is killing businesses. All of this needs to take place and needs to happen now before things get any worse. Some of the decisions that they've put in place are going to have very long-term effects. Right now, people are suffering because of this economy, but people forget that the 2017 tax cuts, they sunset in 2025. But guess what? They're starting to sunset this fall. What's going to happen to all of the small businesses that have benefited from those tax cuts? There's no end in sight. And so that is what I am suggesting. Then we're going to have to talk about the border. This open border is not working for anyone. And you're having Democrat mayors come out and say, we've got to do something. It is not a solution to just let tens of thousands of people come in every week with no answer for how they're going to be taken care of. This country is already struggling itself. We can't continue to take care of everybody. There are many solutions that I have in mind, but that's where we're going to start. We're going to start with the economy, and we're going to start with the spending down in DC.
I do want to get your take on immigration, because I've been lucky enough to talk to everyone from city council members, senators, everyone in between. Democrats, Republicans all say there is a crisis at the southern border. How to fix it? They remain to not be able to find a solution that works for the both of them. What is your solution when you say here we need to secure the border? How exactly do you do that?
Well, exactly what had been begun before. We need to fence the border off. People can come in, but it's an open wall right now. Anybody is coming in. We don't know what kind of danger is coming into this country. There could be terrorists coming into this country for all we know. The northern border is suffering as well. There has to be an organized system. Normally what you would see is people that come into your country, they're bringing some kind of value. And I'm certain some of the folks that are coming will be able to present that value, and they'll be able to improve their lives, but not in this open system that we have. We need to put a border wall up and organize exactly how it is that we're going to let people come in. They have to come in through a system. There's got to be a better way than asking people to wait 7 years before they're interviewed and they go through a whole process. If we can manage this country with the systems that have been put in place for our residents, there's no reason why we can't do that for people that are coming in from outside of this country. But that's number one. You think about the other problems that having an open border is causing. Look at the fentanyl. Look at all of these drugs that are pouring into this country. Every single day I read a story about either people overdosing or worse, laying around in gutters with needles sticking out of their arms. Those drugs are coming in from one place, and that's over these borders. They're not being produced in this country. That's part of why it's got to be shut down. It has to be shut down now. And then we've got to figure out a system. The problem with this administration is there's no long-term planning for anything. There certainly hasn't been for the border. They wanted to show everybody and open up the wall, open up the doors wide open for everybody. They should have predicted this. They should have known, and they should have said, well, if we're going to do that, where are we going to put these people? They don't have any means of support. We need a plan, and we need to sit down and get folks together on both sides and agree that we have to have a plan that's going to work for everybody.
How do you get both sides to agree? Because as you know, as we sit here right now, there's a slim majority in the House for Republicans, and there is a slim Democratic majority in the Senate. So we're really at a divided government. And back when Trump was president, when he said build the wall, that was a lightning rod issue, and that was a non-starter for Democrats. So how do you present that as a solution to Democrats that they can get on board with that?
Well, I think the disaster that we have right now is obviously the answer for them. Is this what they want to continue to happen? Many Democrats, look, the mayor of New York, right, has come out and said it's not sustainable and it's harming my own city. They will come to the table because they know that leaving an open border doesn't work. To me, it's really simple. But what you need is you need a leader in the White House that's going to do that and not throw it off to the wind and say, well, there's really nothing wrong with the border, which is basically what they've said.
I do want to jump back to the current Democrat whose seat you are trying to get, and that is Senator Bob Menendez. And I do want to talk a little bit about what we know, the photos that we saw. You called him Gold Bar Bob at the top of this interview, and we did see photos of gold bars in his house. We did see photos of cash stuffed in a windbreaker that had his name on it, and we saw a photo of a Mercedes that he allegedly received in a bribe, and he also allegedly gave sensitive information to the government of Egypt. When you see those photos, which I'm sure you saw, when you hear that information, obviously these are all allegations. He does have to get due process. What do you think is the most serious allegation here?
The very fact that he took bribes in exchange for favors. That's it. That's the most serious thing to me as an elected official that you could ever possibly do, because now he is not working for the people. He is selling what he does. I've never even seen a gold bar. I don't know if you've ever seen one. So I think the very fact that they had multiple gold bars sitting in their house is suspicious. I mean, a lot of people have Mercedes, but the fact that a sitting senator, the interesting thing, and I've heard a few interviews lately, is people seem to go into the House and the Senate, and this is certainly not everybody, and come out multi-millionaires. How is that? And why is it? It's got to be from more than just books and speaking engagements. We need to look at that. People need to get into that role and do the right thing, work hard and work for the people, and not just become a senator so that you can profit for yourself. And those days have to end at some point in time, because the people that are suffering are the hardworking people in this country right here. He will go through due process. All of this will be, discovered, go through discovery. It's the people in New Jersey that should be the judge. The people are the ones that should say, you have had enough time here and you need to go, or you can stay. I think they're going to say it's time for somebody new. It's time for somebody with strength who really wants to deliver for them.
That's interesting that you brought that up. I've never seen a gold bar in person. In fact, I don't know if Senator Menendez did, because according to the indictment, he did Google how much is a kilo of gold worth. But I'm curious as to what prompted you into jumping into this race. Was it these allegations swirling around Senator Menendez, or was it something that you wanted to do?
So I've been thinking about this for the last 2 years, and I decided a few months ago, it was definitely long before he was indicted. It's just time. I look at all of these, frankly, you look at some of these senior senators that are in place, they're barely able to function. And I don't even want to mention names, but poor Dianne Feinstein, it breaks my heart every time they roll her out in her wheelchair. We need younger people. And I know a lot of folks are going to be disappointed in me that I said that, but people maybe that haven't spent 50 years in Congress. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He's been 30 years in Congress, 50 years in politics. 30 years in Congress is plenty of time. You've gotten in, you've proven yourself, and you've done whatever you say you've done that's good for the people. We need some fresh blood. It's time for people with new ideas, new solutions that are going to work hard. And really, I said it before, people before policy. We have to consider every decision that's being made. Well, what are the long-term impacts on the folks in this country, on the moms and the dads, senior citizens? Right now, this is impacting people that they're not even going to be able to retire. Many of the people I speak to, they have to go back and get jobs in Walmart. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that really wasn't a part of their long-term plan. People are concerned about being able to send their children to college. The cost of college is outrageous. Everything is going up everywhere. So people don't know what the future is going to bring for them. It's becoming sort of scary times, I would say, for people at this rate. That's why I decided to get in. I want to do something. My whole life has been a life of service in some capacity. When I was a chef, you're there taking care of people, you're taking care of their dietary needs. And then I started getting into government. I fell in love with government. But when I got in, I said, I don't even like the bureaucratic operations that were going on in the offices that I worked in. And I did everything I could to change that, to say, we're here for people. It used to drive me crazy if I would call another agency and they wouldn't answer the phone. They wouldn't answer their own phone. I always answered my own phone. I said, I'm an agency to agency call. How could you not answer my phone, right? They would only accept emails from other agencies. We need to become more open and more communicative with the residents, with the voters. They need to know what's going on. They need to understand the decisions that are being made down in Washington and how that is actually going to impact their life. We owe them that. We owe them that. We owe them the democracy that they have been brought up with. We owe them an opportunity to improve their lives. That's what America's always been about.
A conversation that has really garnered national attention is, should there be age limits? I'm not sure if you saw, I believe it was the cover of the New Yorker today. They had a few leaders on both sides of the aisle, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, I believe Presidents Trump and Biden, all in walkers. And the question of, are people too old to serve has come up a lot, and in a lot of my conversations. One, do you think there needs to be age limits? Or if not age limits, do you think there need to be term limits?
Well, I don't think it's an age thing. I'm gonna, do a little shout out right now, and I don't know if she'd be happy with me, but my mother's 91 years old, and she is the sharpest woman you will ever meet. So I don't know that it's a number. I think it's a cognitive ability, and that's something that we have to start asking ourselves. Even the president's office should have to go through some cognitive test to make sure that they are of sound mind. These elected officials are making the most important decisions that impact billions of people's lives, not just in the US, but in other countries. We should know that they are of sound mind. We should know that they are healthy in their mind and frankly in their body. We should know that they're capable of doing the job. So an age limit, I don't know. Term limits, it's not really a part of our Constitution, so I don't even think that's necessarily the issue. They should be termed by the people who vote for them. People should decide, has this person done a good job? Have they not done a good job? If I'm not seeing them in the rest of the state, which is the case with Senator Menendez, well, then maybe they're not doing such a great job. If I don't hear from them, if the communication isn't clear, people that work in a vacuum down in Washington, they have to understand that they're doing this for the people back in their state. So they need to communicate that to the people back in their state. People need to know and understand it's an education process. And I think that we can do that with people, bring them more into the system so they understand, so they feel better about the decisions that are being made by the people that represent them. That's my goal. That's what I want to do for people.
You've recently kicked off your run, so I'm curious, what's next for you in your campaign for Senate?
Well, I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing. I'm working with an amazing team. They're fantastic. We are working on the primary right now. That's the first step. There will be no stone unturned for me in this state. I'm a voracious campaigner. I love meeting people. I love knocking on doors. That's one of my favorite things. And we're just going to go town by town, county by county, and make sure that we've reached out to every single person and given them an opportunity to get to know me, to get to know my background, and give me an opportunity to get to know them and understand what's impacting their lives and what the plan needs to be going forward. I'm really looking forward to every day and every new person that I meet in New Jersey. It's just a real eye-opener.
Mayor Christine Serrano Glassner, thank you so much for joining me. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on.